Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be carving up a bunch of small little bears out of a 2x4. Yes, a 2x4. It's a rough cut, true 2x4. We're going to be cutting that out today with the MSA 160C. That's my battery operated steel chainsaw running a dime tip bar. I'm going to go ahead and make as many as we can. We've got this 8-foot board and we'll see how it goes. Alright guys, so starting off with these bears, first thing you gotta get is a rough cut 2x4. I got a 2x4 by 8, so it's 8 feet long, 2 inches thick, 4 inches wide. Next thing you gotta do is put that thing in the jaw horse. Now I let a lot of it stick off to one side. You don't want to be carving way out there, you want to be carving where it's a little bit closer. Now, you may notice I don't have my earmuffs on and all that, because I'm gonna be running the battery saw, which is not as loud. It's not as loud, so I'm not too worried about those things today. The next thing you want to do, if you guys want to start making these bears, get out your tape measure and measure them out and mark them. So what I'm going to be making today are 3-inch bears. So every 3 inches I made a red mark. Now I know that red mark is going to be the line between each bear. So my first cuts are going to be cutting on that red line all the way down. And you know what? I didn't even count these out. Let's see how many we'll get out of an 8-footer. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, and the 32nd bear is going to be a little bit smaller. So 32 bears out of an 8-foot board. I'm going to go ahead and start making those first cuts. Now, I'm not going to be going all the way down, and I'm not going to be able to get you guys some super good shots today, as my GoPros are not working. So, yeah, got some old used GoPros, and they're just not cutting it anymore, so we're resorting back to using just my cell phone for these videos. Hopefully, I can get you guys some GoPro footage here soon. New GoPros are pricey, though, so we'll see what happens. But let's get back to carving this. So we want to make our first cut. The first thing I'm going to do is go down to about since I'm using the dime tip bar, we're going to be going in about maybe 1/2 inch to all those lines that you just cut. You gotta undo it, slide it down so you can get the rest of those cuts. Don't bother making the ones right in the vise. You'll end up messing everything up. Alright, so those are all done. I'm gonna slide the 2x4 back that way because I only want to work on about 5 of them overhanging at a time. Any more than 5 and this thing's going to start smacking around in the vise, and I want to be able to keep them all as one piece, at least until my phone falls. I want to be able to keep them all one piece, one board, at least until they're all almost done, and then we'll separate them. So right now I've got 5 of them here, actually 6 sticking out past the vise, and that's fine. So we'll do this 6, and then we'll do 5 or 6 this way, and then we'll move the 2x4 over. Looking at this square piece, you're like, man, how the heck am I going to get a bear out of these? Well, once you start figuring it out, it's going to be actually really quick to knock a bunch of these out. I'm going to bring the camera in so you guys can see the cut. We're going to follow the same steps as carving a bigger bear, but bring it right down to the smallest level. Now, these are some of the smallest bears I can carve with a chainsaw. So with a little bit of practice, you should be able to do the same. First things first, I'm going to start thinking about doing the ears, just like I do with a big bear. But these are going to be a little bit different. We're going to start working by doing the backs first, and then we'll spin the whole board around and start working on the front of the bear. So now when I do my ears, I come in at an angle like this. So got to make angle cuts and go down to about your 1/2 inch line and do that all the way around. So there we go. The backs of all our ears are done. Now it's time to go in and separate those ears and kind of angle the back of the head. I'm actually going to move the 2x4 up a little bit so I don't have to keep moving it as much to do those, as we're not doing a ton of cuts, and I guess we don't really have to move it as often because it is a little more stout than I was anticipating. So I'm going to come in like this and kind of do like an angled cut to the back of those all the way down, and then we're going to spin this around. We'll split the ears from the front side. Alright, so I got all my bears flipped around. So we got the back side and the ears we just cut, and now we're looking at what's going to be the front. Now what we got to do is go through and start splitting the bears for the ears. I've actually got a bear down here that's not going to make it. I just realized there's some bark and live edge, so we're going to lose that last bear. I'm going to actually be one short, but that's fine. So we got to split those ears, basically come in and make some cuts and kind of gouge it out. All I'm doing is working the saw back and forth in between so I can gouge it down. This is going to be the top of the head with the ears off to the side. I'm also angling the saw back so it slopes back to the back of the head. The next thing we got to do is separate the ears from what's the top of the head. And so what we got to do is make a line in front of where your ears are going to be all the way across. So what that means, I'm going to go down to one end and I'm going to make a line coming all the way down. Now you're only going in about 1/4 of an inch roughly. So that's what you're going to want to do. Go in about 1/4 of an inch and run a line all the way down to where your ears are going to separate front to back in here. This little space. And do that one end of the board to the other, so it's one long cut. Once you guys have done that, now you'll see the separation between the ears and the top of the bear's head. At that time, you want to make sure your 2x4 is up high enough, and you can do it in one motion. You want to get it up good and high. You're going to take the saw, come in sideways, and go in just to the ears and cut that top right off, all the way down. Don't hit the ears, only go into your cut line you just made and get rid of this section. It's going to be about 3/4 of an inch to an inch wide, and trim that off so it's flush to where the top of the head is. So the ears will be the only thing left sticking up that high. Once we do that, we're going to come in and start rounding down this way for the shape of the head and the body. As you guys see, we got that cut done. So you got the tops of the heads here. Now, mind you, you're going to be able to go through and clean these up with a Dremel or something else after. This is just, we're roughing them out, just like our big carvings. So you can see each individual bear in those lines we made. Now what we need to do is make an angle cut down and an angle cut down. And what that's going to do is start to separate each bear body. See how that is? So I saw the ear and came in about a bar's thickness, and I'm using a 1/4 pitch dime tip bar with 43 gauge chain. In case you guys wanted to know, that's what the whole carving is going to be done with. So I went in about a bar thickness from the outside of the ear, did an angle, came down, and I only went in about a 1/2 inch. We don't want to separate them yet, so just keep that in mind. When you do that to all of them, you can come back through and clean the tops of the heads up if you want, or you can save that for your Dremel work later. I'm not going to clean the tops of these up. We're going to leave them rough. I'm going to hit them all with my Dremel at another time, which I recommend you guys do as well. So we've got that cut done. Now you can go ahead and make those cuts all the way down, which I'm going to do. Alright guys, so the next cuts we got to make are going to be the ears. You saw me making some extra cuts on there that I didn't really talk about. I've got this whole end needs to be done, or this end is done. And what that is it's taking the saw and cutting the ears in. So up here by the ears, in between each, you'll go this way, and this way, and this way, and this way. And work your way all the way down. I already did most of them. All I've got is this end that's not done yet. See how they're still squared up right here? Compared to down here, where they look more like ears. Takes a little imagination so you guys can, see ahead of what you're trying to make. But those will be the ears. We're gonna cut them in next, and then we're gonna come in and start making the cuts on the noses, just like we do on the big bears. Slicing it away a little bit, leaving some room for the face. Now the nice thing is we don't have to come and make a back angled cut to get the nose off. The bar is wide enough, and these guys are small enough. You should just be able to use the bar, maybe 2 cuts, and cut that shape for the nose, and then cut the bottom out for the head. In this process, there's times you lose an ear. Just do your best to not hit them with the saw, because if you hit that ear with the saw, it's gonna rip that thing right off. So all the ears are now cut out. Now it's time to come in and start putting that snout on, like I said. Just like carving the big bears. Make a little cut and a little cut, and then use the nose of the bar to take away a little bit of extra next to it. Once the nose is kind of blacked out so you can see it, you're gonna have to cut it down just a little. It might actually be easier to cut that down some in the front first, like this. See, I'm just using the nose of the bar, sweeping back and forth. So that's creating the part for the forehead, where his eyes are gonna be, down to the top of the snout, then cut the snout out. Alright guys, so this is where we're at. Alright, we kind of cut down for the side of the face, we made a line under the head. We cut here for that nose, and just kind of shaved that away with the nose of the bar. Now those are going to be our next cuts. With the nose, you'll kind of start under that cheek, come down, stop, come down and stop, and you can kind of use it to remove some of this material. You'll make a cut over, and just a little notch below the feet. Now this gets a little tricky because you can't make any of these cuts where the vise clamps. So line them up so you got one just past and one just past, and then you can do about 5 or 6 on each side of the vise, or the jaw horse I mean, and then shift it, do 5 or 6 on each side, and you got to keep moving it around. So that's what I'm going to be doing next, making these cuts, trimming this out, getting his feet ready. Once that's done, we're going to be almost ready for detail work. All right guys, here's all our little bears all roughed out. They're ready to be split. This is as much as you can do with the chainsaw unless you can get a little bit craftier with it than myself. At this time, that's gonna be it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys have some fun practicing these little guys. Remember, wear your safety gear and be safe. Now, tune in next week. I'm gonna go ahead and split these guys, use a Dremel tool or something like that, and we'll clean them up to a final finish. So be sure to tune in for that video. That'll be coming up hopefully next week, as long as all goes well, and you guys will be able to watch that start to finish also. I thank you guys for watching today. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up and hit subscribe, and I'll see you next time.